everyone, Mrs. Glenicki here. Hope that you've sort of enjoyed your break. I think it was 2 weeks off. Sorry that I can't see you face to face to teach you all about art, but hopefully these tutorials I make are not too long-winded and easy enough to follow. Don't know if you know this painting. It's a parody of American Gothic. The old couple are usually in the front holding their pitchfork, but now with the coronavirus, everyone is isolating in their house. So I thought this was funny. Alright, so I'm just going to jump right into the tutorial. I do have to warn you, it is a good 12-minute tutorial. So in case you get bored, sorry. Okie dokie. The program we're going to use is called Pixlr.com, and before I get going on it, just want to show you what the goal is for this. We are going to learn how to create an image that has no background behind it, and that gives us more editing opportunities and so forth. So this cowl on the internet had the sky behind it. Using Pixlr, I was able to get rid of the sky, and then I can create really neat collages and so forth. So for example, again, move things around and put them in situations that normally we wouldn't do. But couldn't do that if we didn't have PNG files. So the PNG file is very important. We're going to get rid of all the stuff behind your selfies. So that's today's goal. The program we're going to use is called Pixlr, P-I-X-L-R. Just do a Google search for it. Do the first option usually. And you're going to get a screen that hopefully looks like this. And scroll down. You'll have two types of programs. One's more advanced. We're going to take the easier one called X. So go ahead and launch it. And you don't have to download these. It's free. So it won't bog down your computer and so forth. Alright, so this is the home page of Pixlr. Let me make sure I have all the tools showing. So I'm going to drag it over to the left a tad. Okay. So we're going to go to Open Image. We're going to start Find Your Selfie. I do not know where you saved your pictures on your computer. Hopefully you're working on a computer. You can technically do Pixlr on your phones, but it is not fun. You need more desktop area space to work. So I recommend a desktop or a laptop. I put everything in the same folder. So on my desktop, I have a folder called Pixlr. You'll notice I have one for mandalas. Wherever you save your work, please remember where you put it, and then put everything in the same folder. Sometimes students just click away and they just save, but they have no idea where they put it. So maybe it's on desktop, or it's in in documents, PC. I don't know. It's going to make your life miserable if you don't go to the same spot all the time. So save your work in a folder or just an area on the desktop that you know everything's going to be. Okie dokie, so you see that I have lots of stuff in this folder for demonstrations. I am going to find the original picture, and here I am. Go ahead and pick the default, which will be full screen, and say yes. I have to drag this, dang it, there you go. I'll have to move the screen around. I'm using a Screencast-O-Matic, and it doesn't let me see everything at once, which stinks. But alright, so here's the original image. What I want to do is start editing it. This program is kind of like Adobe Photoshop, which I think I talked about a bit when we were working on Mr. Anderson's Lightbox project for Cambridge. So right now on the right side, I assume that you're going to see your layers. I hope you do, but you want to unlock it. So on your picture there's going to be a lock. Unlock it. It just makes editing less destructive, which means nothing to you right now, but trust me, it's important. On the left side of your screen, or possibly it'll be at the top or the bottom, are going to be all your tools, including the home icon. So home is where you're working on, or you can find new images. Go back to where I was working. The tools you're going to use for today are your cursor, your crop tool, and your cut tool. The cutting tool is what we'll use to get rid of the entire background of our photographs. This is a huge picture file, and if I was going to do a collage, I wouldn't want a huge file taking over my compositional space. So I'm going to click the crop, and I'm going to zoom in as close as I can to my head and part of my body. I only need the shoulders. It's good enough. When you take your selfie, if you look at this tutorial before that, I recommend you do it against a solid color wall or a door so that it's quicker to edit the background, because you want to get rid of all the stuff in the background, which is the negative space. The cut tool or the scissors icon is what you're going to use for your editing to get rid of the background. And there are 4 things you can use. The first tool that we're going to talk about is the shape tool, and you just click the rectangle. You have 2 modes. Obviously we want to get rid of the background, so we want to pick remove. And this is just a quick way to get rid of stuff in large chunks. So I don't need the entertainment center. I can just do bigger areas like that. Okay. So that's one way to technically erase the background. The next tool is called a magic wand. You can click it and make sure it's on remove, and then you go to light. You want the edge, whenever you get rid of stuff, to be soft, otherwise it's going to look jagged later on. It's going to look sloppy. So make sure you do light or medium, but never none. So I'm going to pick light, make sure I have remove. And the wand is what you want to use if you've got big solid areas. So this ceiling, which looks gray, but in reality it's white, I'm going to click on it, and it's going to get rid of it all at once. See how quick that was? Now the rest of my background is pretty much all browns, so it might read it. But if I click here, it's going to get rid of the hat because it was a similar color, so that would not be the best editing tool to use. Undo. If you can't see the undo, you could do Control Z. That'll get rid of stuff too. So you got the shape tool, get rid of big areas quickly. You got the wand, get rid of areas that are similar in color. The next tool is the paintbrush. I like it. It's kind of like an eraser. And you can have it in 2 modes, obviously. So let's say I had a seizure and whoops, I just, actually that's not what I wanted. Let's pretend that I lost control of my hand and it raced through something. I could obviously go through undo and redo it, or I could use the paint tool but use the mode keep. That means I can paint it back in. See it come back. Ooh, nice brows. But just remove, just make sure you have the red brush, which means erase. I'm going to move this screen over a tad so that you can see your layering. It's very important that you understand you can use navigate. So let's say I want to edit around my ear. I don't trust my brush and my eyes, so I want to zoom in on it. So just use your mouse cursor or your pad on your computer, and you can zoom in as much as you want. So let's say, oh, I want to see more of the ear. Then you just move your little red cursor in the navigate box. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. And now you can just start dragging your paintbrush. You could change the size. I'd recommend going smaller when you want to get up to something important. Big areas, you can use a big brush. So if I want to get rid of bigger areas, I can just use the big brush, and so forth. So that's the brush tool. The last thing I want to show you is the lasso tool. So I'm going to go back to tool here. Lasso is just a nice way to trace areas, get cleaner, more control. Sometimes if you use a brush, you get like a ghost, like see-through, transparent on the edges, and you might not want that. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of, with my lasso, carefully draw around whatever I want to cut up to. And I like to do my editing in sections. Darn it. See how I got into the face. Do it in smaller sections at a time. What the heck? In case you make mistakes, if you try to do everything like all around the face at once and then you make a mistake, you've lost all that work. See how that's sloppy looking there? That's because I have the softness on none. I don't want those jagged edges. See how jagged? That's ugly. So basically I'm going to just actually redo, make sure light's on, and then use the cursor. Okay? the lasso tool. So that's what I would recommend. Use the lasso when you need detail work. Use the rectangle when you have big chunks that you can get rid of at once. Use the wand for similar colored areas, and the brush for big areas or details, but make sure you play around with the sizes. Okie doke. That's it for this point. As far as editing, I am going to push pause. Alright, so for time reasons, I just pulled up an image that I already edited the background. It is totally finished. It looks decent. So now it's time to save. You go to this blue button that says save, obviously, and it's going to ask you to download it. That's what you want. So now I'm going to name this Glenecke, and then capital PNG. Whoops. Because I like to find my pings quickly in my folder rather than hovering over the picture to see if it's a ping. So basically save it, whatever you want. Make sure you have your file on ping. If you save it as JPEG, look at this. It makes it white and it's going to be a big solid square in your artwork later and you won't be able to do anything fun. So make sure it's on ping, then download. Once it's downloaded, you still have one more step to save it, because right now it's not saved, it's just downloaded. So I'm going to click my download. Now if you're using an Apple computer, I'm not sure what they are going to ask you to do, but for PCs it should be something like this, and they're going to be ellipses, which is 3 dots. Go to Save As. Make sure you have the correct folder, which I do. I have it saved as a ping. I'm good to go. I say yes. And that's all she wrote for this tutorial. So the first part of your task today after you've done your worksheets is to edit your selfie to get rid of all the background. The next tutorial that is on my Google class will be how to actually add some images behind your picture. Alright, hope that made sense. Good luck.